So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us for this session today. I'm going to be your host. My name is Peter Eakin. We're going to be talking today about how organizations can adopt a precision marketing model to enable them to reach and convert the modern buyer. All in, the webinar today is going to take approximately about 30 minutes, and we're going to have some time at the end of the session to be able to answer any questions that anyone has. We want this to be really interactive. Call today, and we're here to answer anything marketing, data, precision marketing related. I'm joined by some great guests here from the Zymplify team today. We have my wonderful colleague, Debbie Reimer, who's our CMO. Debbie's coming from a wealth of experience in digital marketing. She tells me all the time that she's been there from day one, it feels like. And Debbie actually heads up the CIM courses, the Chartered Institute of Marketing courses here at in Northern Ireland. So, a great marketing mind to have on board for the session today. And we're also joined by Raj Kher. Raj Kher is head of partnerships here at Zymplify. He's coming from a wealth of experience in software and technology sales, and joined our business from a background of cybersecurity. Session will be recorded. That'll be circulated to everyone who joins today, so there'll be opportunity to share, to listen back in terms of what we discussed and some of the topics that come out of today's conversation. And of course, there'll be plenty of other information available around Zymplify. Format for the meeting today: we're just hosting this as a general meeting on Zoom, so I'd appreciate it if all attendees could keep themselves on mute until the Q&A section. Will there be more than ample to come off mute and ask questions verbally, or type those into the chat? And of course, feel free to turn cameras off and things like that if you want to. So without any further ado, let me bring in the lovely people I've got on board. Debbie Reimer, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, Peter. Hello, everybody. Lovely to see you here today. So yeah, as Peter said, I've been working in marketing for near on 3 decades now, and in digital marketing really since it began. Joined the team at Zymplify 10 months ago, and absolutely loving using the platform, the Zymplify platform, then to run our marketing function here at Zymplify. And guys, what I'm hoping to do today, or what I'm aiming to do today, is to give you a bit of insight in terms of how we use the platform, and how you then can use the Zymplify platform to get in front of the modern buyer, given all the changes in the ways that they behave.
Excellent. Thank you, Debbie. And Raj.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Raj Kher. I've been in the sales, as I say, it was pretty much all of my life, as far as I can remember. Debbie, probably about the same period of time you've been in marketing. As Peter said at the beginning of this slide session, I come from a cybersecurity background, so I've been there 20 months with a company in the south of Ireland. So I am coming with an insight from a sales perspective, some of the challenges that represented in the sector with regards to cyber, but I'm also going to be delighted to share some of the opportunities that come out of those challenges that I've seen in the last few years. So my role in the cyberspace has been very much sales with a little bit of marketing in there. So looking forward to a lively session with you all today.
Fantastic. And before we dive into the main subject and the agenda for today, I think it's really important to say a big thank you to our friends and partners over at Lorca and Plexel for helping us put this together. They're a fantastic group over there who are really dedicated to helping cybersecurity companies to grow really quickly. So I believe we've got Diane on the session today from Plexel and Lorca, so it's fantastic to have their involvement and their support in putting this session together. So let's look at a quick agenda. What are we going to cover today? So many of you may be coming into the conversation unsure as to what precision marketing is. So we want to make sure and answer all of those questions for you today. So we're going to do a little bit of precision marketing 101, what it means, why organizations are turning to this as a new marketing model, given the kind of landscape of buying and selling in software today. We're going to look at some of basically put the case forward from our perspective as to why we believe that cybersecurity and technology companies are really in a strong position to look at this model to drive significant growth within their businesses. We're going to be, providing a little bit of an intro to Zymplify for those who are not familiar with what we do here, and of course, at the end there'll be an opportunity to ask any questions of us that you would like to know. As I said, you can come off mute at the end of the session and ask those questions if you're confident enough to do that, or feel free to pop those into the chat. We've got Sarah McElvar from our team today manning the chat today, who'll be able to answer or flag any questions that come through. So to kick things off with Precision Marketing 101. So precision marketing is a relatively new concept in the marketing landscape, and it's a model that's really gaining traction as we move out of this sort of multiple lockdowns pre-pandemic pandemic sort of time that we've all been in. And McKinsey shone a lot of light on why precision marketing is being used by organizations, and really kind of came out with this tagline that I think resonates with any business right now, and it's that savvy marketers are really looking at their technology and their data strategies to streamline, to make marketing more profitable, more revenue focused, and really doubling down on precision marketing models. So let's really look at what is precision marketing, what it means as a core concept, what it requires to be successful, and then Debbie's going to give us some insights into how it's used here at Zymplify, and hopefully that spurs some ideas amongst the group. So firstly, what is precision marketing? Well, in its, I guess, shortest description, precision marketing is a new innovative strategy in which marketers really put the wants, needs, and interests of their customers right at the center of everything they do. But more importantly, they analyze and track behavioral patterns. And what this enables marketers to do is fulfill the needs of specific customer segments to drive better success and effectiveness of their marketing communications plans. So what this basically means is it's no longer just about the content that you create, but it's also the context in which that content is being delivered. You may have a fantastic guide or white paper or brochure or case study, but if you're sharing that with an audience that doesn't need that right now, then its impact is being lessened or lost. So as we talk through what precision marketing means, there's loads of facets to it, but one of the key things to remember is always sharing the right information with the right person at the right time in their journey. And to do this, marketing must use data. Marketers and salespeople have always used data, and without it, the activities that we do, can be pretty meaningless. But what we've really seen in the post-COVID world is that as buying and selling goes digital, as all the data and research shows us that is unlikely, rather, to be a temporary change, because people like it. That's the way they want to, transact right now. What that basically means is that pretty much all buying decisions are being made online, but more importantly, they're starting online as well. The research conducted by McKinsey and others have highlighted how sales cycles are getting longer. The B2B research phase, in terms of evaluating options and settling on a solution to solve a problem, is getting longer. And of course, as more information is available online, prospects are much more informed by the time they go to engage with potential suppliers. And this is this is reflecting a pretty fundamental change in buyer behavior. And that change is meaning that a lot of the relationship rules and the kind of modeling that the marketers would have done previously are outdated now. Lead scoring, for example, needs to be reevaluated within organizations. How frequently data is refreshed and cleansed needs to be reevaluated within organizations. And by using data in this way, marketers can now start to tease out actionable indicators based on behaviors that the customers show, not just with them, but more broadly across their market, in a timely way so that they can act on them. And to do that, data needs to be continually refreshed. If you are working with a static database right now, or if you are investing periodically in data, that doesn't really fit with how buyers work right now in terms of, the volatility within the job market, and again, how, people are consuming and conducting research. So as we're saying, when it comes to precision marketing, it's all about the context in which you're delivering your marketing communications. And for marketers to adopt that, they need continually refreshed data, which gives them insight in terms of what their target personas are looking at, what they're interested in, what are their drivers. And that enables them to map customer journeys to that behavior as opposed to just to that user segment. So they can now send the right content to the right people within the right companies at the right time. And at Zymplify, we term this precision prospecting. And what this basically means in our world is that the collection of different buying signals, for example, a person engages with a competitor of your business on social media, or they mention a specific keyword online, or even their searches for a certain content or topic increase in frequency versus what they were last week or last month. This data can all be amalgamated together to create a really precise prospecting mechanism that's giving marketers and salespeople the ability to determine where an account is likely to be in their buying journey, what it is they're looking for, and then deliver that information to them. And as we sort of shift gears a little bit, now let's look at some of the research which has gone in behind, the emergence of precision marketing as a model for businesses to use, and some of the buying trends that are happening in 2021. A key kind of headline for us as we were putting this together is the fact that remote interactions and remote buying and selling is here to stay. A McKinsey report published that 70 to 80%, so significant portions of B2B decision makers prefer remote human interactions versus face-to-face conversations with sales reps. And I think a lot of organizations had a concern coming into what all the changes would mean for their sales process. How can you close big deals when you're not able to shake hands and look someone in the eye? But the reality is that the abundance of information is making the identification process for buyers easier when it comes to shortlisting suppliers. The ease and speed as to which they can review and evaluate and speak to reps, engage with content, again, is something that the buyers really, really want to see and want to stay. And when we look at then when buyers actually want to hear from sellers, overwhelmingly it's early in the process. The best time to engage with a prospect is when they're looking for ideas, not when they've chosen a supplier or shortlisted. And it's difficult for organizations to do that with old models, because how do you know who's looking for ideas when the places they're looking for ideas are not your website or your content? And that's where data becomes really, really important, and especially behavioral data. So you can start to understand who is in that research phase, who's consuming content, who's interacting with other companies in your space, who's attending events and webinars like this one. So you can use that precision prospecting model we talked about to get in front of them. And a really important stat that I think is relevant to all marketers is how the average buyer is consuming more information from more sources to make decisions. And that doesn't apply to just big deals. That's really any kind of software purchase. And that's a significant increase of 30%, 35% rather, from last year. And that again just reflects the availability of information, but also how informed our prospects are. And so what's the solution to all of this? How do you connect with buyers early in the process? How do you precisely target people with the message they want? Well, one solution is using buyer intent data. If you're unfamiliar with buyer intent data on the call today, basically buyer intent data is the collection of different signals that are completed online from the digital footprint that we all leave as we browse the web. Intent data is becoming, if not already, one of the most important commodities that sales and marketing teams can adopt, but still there's a reluctance, I think, within the space to adopt it. As you can see here from this graph by Trust Radius, only 40% actually use intent data as part of their stack. There's tons of benefits to using intent data. We talked about how this can benefit prospecting from a targeting standpoint, but it simply just makes things more efficient. One of the things that my colleagues on the call today will discuss is how in industries like cybersecurity and technology, typically prospecting is left to the sales teams to do, where it can often become quite scattergun and is further down the agenda than maybe sales leaders would like it to be. Intent data really helps to hone in prospecting within sales teams and makes them much more efficient as to who they go after and what they go after them with. Organizations use this to drive better results in the sales end, align sales and marketing closer together to understand again what their buyers are consuming and looking for from organizations. And it can even be used to really create relevant, impactful content. And that's reflected in terms of the organizations that do use it, how they're using it, very much again enabling them to support sales and prospecting activities and penetrate higher value accounts. But with the precision marketing model, it fits really, really well with both marketing and sales programs. So what I'm going to actually do now is hand over to my wonderful colleague, Debbie, who's actually going to walk through, firstly, some of the challenges that the typical marketers are facing in today's day and age when it comes to ad blockers and things like that, and then actually walk through, how the marketing team here at Zymplify utilize precision marketing to great success.
Hey, thanks very much, Peter, and some brilliant questions I see coming through there in the chat. And I'll try and address some of those actually as I'm talking through some of the, some of the things that we do. But I am going to kick off with that question from Mark, who asked, is account-based marketing similar to precision marketing, or what's the difference? And really what I would say is that precision marketing, Mark, is like adding the next layer to that in terms of all of the precision prospecting tools that we would have, that contact search, and all of the buyer intent tools, for example, that allow you to get really, really laser focused with your prospecting, and then to use the buyer intent to then reveal the sorts of topics that those prospects are talking about, so that you can then include that sort of content within all your messaging and your automated journeys, etc., that go out. And why is that so powerful? But as I said earlier, I've been involved in digital marketing since the beginning. Really worked on the very first email marketing software, Max bulk mailer, when you could only send out, you had to batch your emails and send them out in slots of 100. Otherwise the server would fall over. So now we're able to send out tens of thousands in a day. But the reason it's so important is, look, we jumped forward 8 years and 8 months in 2020 in terms of digital disruption. As Peter said, that research is all happening now online, 80% in our own industry. So in the MarTech industry, 80% of research happens before there's any kind of engagement at all with an organization. And the job of any marketer is to generate leads for the sales team. And whenever we look at acquisition marketing and top of the funnel marketing, paid advertising is one of the key tools. But as you've seen on the previous slide, then just over 42% of your target audience are using ad blockers. So how on earth, how on earth do you get in front of them? And we know that inbound is powerful, and having the right sort of content to bolster SEO, etc. But what you can do with the precision prospecting tools, for example, is based on your buyer personas. You can then define exactly who it is you want to be talking to, at what companies, in what countries, at what sort of size turnover, what's the job role of the person you want to be speaking to, and even down to what software it is that they use. And if you'd be thinking that previously you'd be driving an ad to drive people to your website to fill out a form on a landing page that captures that sort of information before you can start talking to them, whenever actually using the precision prospecting tools in our platform, you can reveal that sort of information and build the list of your total addressable market literally in minutes. We did it ourselves last week and built a list of 1,000 in just 2 minutes. So as I said, the goal of marketing is to deliver those leads. So what we have been able to do. I mean, I've only been at Zymplify now 10 months after a couple of decades of working in digital, and being able to build that list of 1,000 people in a small geographical market just within the UK in the space of a couple of minutes was really powerful. And then what you can do is send those prospects to the top of the funnel and send them on our automated journeys so that you can nurture them and warm them up more and get them to undertake whatever goal it is you want, whether that's booking a demo, requesting a meeting or whatever it might be through the journeys. If they're warmer and ready, to talk to business development, then you can send them to cases and pipeline. And if they're, ready to buy, send them straight into the pipeline over to sales in order to engage with them right away with that one-to-one communications. And that has been, for me as a marketer, that has been completely transformative. It's made both myself and my team more efficient and more effective, and I can measure exactly with precision, what's working and what's not at every single step of the buyer journey. The other wonderful thing that I enjoy about the platform is that then taking all of that information, for example, from the buyer intent, and combining that with our brand guidelines, then we can send out consistent messaging. And you can see here, I've just done a couple of wee screen grabs in the middle at top center. That is a screen grab of the brand toolkit area within the Zymplify platform. So you can upload your logos, your favicons, your hex codes then for all of your brand colors, and import your fonts, etc. So that anyone that you invite to share your dashboard within Zymplify, be that an agency, a freelancer, other members of staff, etc., you can ensure that they are always using your brand toolkit across everything they do. And you can see that carried across for just below the brand toolkit there at the bottom center. That is an ad that has been designed in our platform using our seamless Canva integration and our brand toolkit. Then you will see at the top on the right hand side, second from the right is an email built with our email builder. Top right hand corner is a landing page built with our landing page builder. And then down at the bottom, that's two sides of a fact sheet, a precision prospecting fact sheet, which then we've again designed, and it is saved in the content hub within the Zymplify platform. So having everything at your fingertips, so that there's that single source of truth, it makes it easier for managing your brand, easier for onboarding new staff, and easier for onboarding like new suppliers and creatives, etc., that you might work with. So that total brand management, so that whenever you do get into those conversations early, you can build trust and credibility from the get-go and have that consistent, continuous, coherent and complementary assets through every single step of the customer journey. And that to me is what's so important. And as Peter said, I head up the digital marketing courses for the Chartered Institute of Marketing globally. I'm the course director there. This is the kind of best practice that I'm teaching professional marketers all the time. So it's wonderful that we're able to do that then within the Zymplify platform. So that for me is the key bonus, Peter, whenever you are getting into those conversations, getting in front of the right people. They expect an omni-channel experience, every touch point to be consistent. So from a marketer's point of view, that's where the value is for me.
Absolutely. Thank you, Debbie. And that ties, right back into the the precision marketing model and how it's not just about the content that you create, but the context that you share it in. So, that applies to the consistency of the messaging, the consistency of the style, the timing of when it's delivered, at what stage of the journey the fact sheet goes, what stage of the journey the ad is served. And, it's come to Mark's great question about, is precision marketing similar to account-based marketing? And Debbie, you give a great answer to that. I'd love to just add on to that. And precision marketing adds just the relevance within the account. If we think about account-based marketing, instead of marketing to a person, we're marketing to a business. What precision adds into that mix is all of the key people in that business that your account-based marketing needs to reach. What are their drivers? What are their interests? Where are they individually within the journey? And the two certainly can work hand in hand. We work with multiple clients right now if you're running ABM programs, being able to add that relevance into the mix as to what to send to people and when, really, really improves the effectiveness, of their campaigns. So thank you, Debbie. I really appreciate that kind of insight into your world here in Zymplify, and how you're using the tools that we offer here to adopt precision marketing within our business. We're going to kind of look now and I guess make the case when it comes to cyber and technology companies and why we believe this is a sector that is underutilizing precision marketing, but certainly should be. And Rajker is going to take us through the kind of three main reasons which we're having on the screen as to why this is the key. Is the volume of competition, the need for leads within these businesses, and the importance of awareness. So Raj, I'd love to bring you into the conversation right now to walk us through that first component, the volume of competition and that competitive landscape.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Peter and Debbie. And as I say, I really enjoyed that first question as well. It really has set the scene and enabled Debbie and Peter both to talk about the capabilities of the platform and talking about the journeys and the cadences and the kind of contact search and where we take it. But yeah, so if I kick off regarding the competitive landscape. So prior to joining Zymplify, worked for a private cloud provider for a few years. And during that time, I really did see the challenges that are represented in the cybersecurity space when it comes to the first one is competition, and we'll talk about leads, the number of leads, and how to create targeted leads, and obviously awareness secondary. But when we talk about competition, first of all, there just is too much choice, and how does a business really decide which cybersecurity company to go with? But the good thing about all of this choice is that it actually represents an opportunity. There's lots of data. So we recently had an example of a cybersecurity company using our technology, and they were actually getting from us 10,000 intent signals every month. So what that means is we were able to bring them in front of decision makers at various parts of their journey who were actually looking and using buyer intent, bring them in front of decision makers that were looking at their products and services prior to actually making a decision of procuring them. So this is the bit that have interested me the most about Zymplify, being able to get in front of an audience, not after they've made the decision, but during the time that they're looking for your products and services, and that's through buyer intent. I think that's probably the best, the most attractive proposition that the whole dashboard has. Now, we've obviously there's different types of companies in the cyberspace, and they're all competing for the same. They're trying to get hold of the same people, whether that's a chief information officer or head of IT or a CTO. So if you're able to actually target me, and I'm one of those individuals, and you're able to get hold of me, as Peter said earlier in the session, to get hold of me at the right time in my journey, then that's going to be of interest to me. And I'm going to be going, well, how did you know that? It's timing was unbelievable. So it's so powerful. And again, I think to reiterate, the competitive landscape has actually brought an opportunity out in the sense that all this data is available. So yeah, so that's the competitive landscape. Now that puts me nicely into the leads. Now, I've been in sales for a long time, and lead generation has always been quite challenging. Do you manually make cold calls? Do you depend on your marketing team to bring you some leads in on a monthly basis? You have to do both. But up until joining Zymplify, all of the lead creation that I've always seen, whether it's outbound or whether it's inbound, has generally been quite ineffective. And for that type of prospecting, seeing that ineffectiveness is frustrating. It leads to business owners getting frustrated, investors and staff getting frustrated as well. And typically in the past, what I've done for many years, and teams that I've led as well, is you look at spreadsheets, you look at LinkedIn, you look at your competitors, you look at your own network. I've seen that working reasonably well in the past, but ultimately all of this eventually dries up. So it's slow, it's efficient, it's difficult for you to focus and manage your teams, and it does lead to sort of a level of impatience and I suppose pressure. It can take 6 months for you to actually see any sort of impact in your pipeline. So basically now in the cyber world, it's typically expected that sales teams are there and they're tasked to focus on outbound prospecting, and I have, through my own experience, have seen that that's not the best use of their time. The best use of your time in a sales capacity in the cyber industry is really more about looking at focusing on closing sales. So, and getting more and efficient and better results, as Peter said at the earlier session. So what we can say is, by using the word precision marketing is coming up quite a bit. So another old-fashioned way of saying that would have been targeting. Making sure it's targeted. But the difference between targeting and precision is obviously where you start to look at this buyer intent journey that we keep talking about. But what will happen by using automation and by using precision marketing, you will increase your pipeline, and you will be able to provide more accurate forecasting to your business as well. So I suppose another way I'll put it to you is, imagine being able to make contact with the right person in the right company at the right time and with the right message anywhere in the world. That's what precision marketing can do. And Peter already mentioned earlier that you can actually also even search by product. So in a previous role, we had a certain sort of technology that we were looking to target that would have been our absolute sweet spot. And even with LinkedIn and the various other tools that we were using as a sales team, it was virtually impossible to be able to search for this particular type of technology. And it was one of the things that I looked at before I joined Zymplify is, can we search by technology users as well? And the answer is yes, we can. So the benefit to you as an organization is, if you can search by technology, not just person, location, company size, and using buyer intent, you can actually now provide your teams with actionable insights into the company strategy even before you engage with them. And that certainly made my life a lot easier. So really, by using precision marketing and sales, you will be able to accelerate the growth in your business and have sales ready prospects.
Yeah, absolutely right, Raj. And I think one really important, thing to touch on there is, and we referenced this earlier in the call about how the buying journey is getting longer, and how it's more touches, and the technology sector, the number of touches required has increased from 17 to 27, in the last year or so, to actually get into a conversation. And one of the things I think is really, really important when it comes to any type of technology sale is really the importance of creating long-term awareness of the benefits of the business and the products that you sell. And Raja, certainly you can speak to how specifically in cybersecurity companies, the action tends to happen when there's acute pain, right? There's been a disaster, there's been something that has gone wrong, and that is the trigger point to act. But what precision marketing really enables organizations to do is capture maybe lower level intent signals that aren't telling you as a business that this person is ready to buy a product, but are more telling you that this person is building their awareness right now. And then being able to leverage that, in your marketing programs to nurture people through long term, so that when there is that acute pain, right, there's only one place they're going. And Rachel, from your experience, I'm sure.
Well, I would just, if I could jump in there with, and this kind of answers, or will help to answer one of the questions. I think it was Barry who'd asked the question as well about how do you build trust and credibility. That the trigger for a purchase, that trigger happens maybe months, and I don't know for you guys that are all in cybersecurity how many months out that happens, but typically in a lot of B2B scenarios it will happen 6 months out, because maybe a contract is coming to an end, or they're starting to feel frustrated. Maybe the trigger is they're not happy with whoever they're using at the moment. Maybe the customer service isn't very good, whatever, whatever it might be. Maybe that company no longer does everything that they need them to do. So if you think about what the trigger is, what the pain point, and they're starting at that point to start looking at the different solutions that are out there, or they're certainly, and they will certainly be typing into Google those, the questions, which is then where our intent signals, will pick up the sorts of things that they're talking about, the sorts of challenges and problems that they are experiencing. And that gives you the opportunity to get into those, to get into those conversations early, and to be serving them up things that build trust and credibility, such as white papers or guides or fact sheets around their pain points. Because if you think about the 3 stages of a buyer journey: pre-purchase, purchase, and post-purchase. At that pre-purchase point, for all points, you should be thinking, what are they thinking, feeling, and doing? And at that point, they're feeling some form of pain. So you need content that speaks to that pain, because then they're like, you hear me, you feel me. And how did you know I was thinking this now? How did you that's magic. I was literally just thinking about that, this morning, and now I've got this piece of content from you that tells me how to solve that problem, and then they go over to your website, and they'll, be like doing comparisons and look at your pricing, and they'll want illustrations to help them to make decisions, and and then they'll look for case studies and reviews to convert them into being a buyer. So I think just having that precision, that knowledge of what they're thinking, feeling, and doing at each stage is the powerful part.
And just to kind of build on that, Debbie, and thanks, Barry, for your question around trust and credibility. It is something that is really prominent in the cybersecurity space, and it's so relevant. It's a great question. By using automation and by using the various kind of cadences and journeys and experience that we have, we've put together really carefully processes that we have in place behind the scenes that does use some automation, obviously, and that it's very sector specific. So we've got that for the the manufacturing sector, we've got that for the recruitment sector, and we have similar language that we use and technology that we use that will help sort of help organizations like cybersecurity companies build that credibility and trust to position them for a credible supplier in the industry.
Totally.
Yeah, so that kind of leads us on to the importance of awareness very nicely, actually. So, due to COVID, I'm sure most people on this call are aware that, we have not by choice, but it's a great consequence of COVID, I suppose, is that we've actually seen about a decade's worth of digital adoption of digital transformation in the last couple of years due to COVID. And I'm aware, and look, we're all aware, many of us are still working from home, and it does challenge organizations to manage their risk and their security posture and the various things that come along with that. But again, that represents an opportunity to be able to target those organizations with the right message at the right time, to make sure that that your products and services are kind of front and fore in front of their mind with regards to that. But this ecosystem has now become even more exposed since COVID, and we see many good examples of where companies use first, second, and third party buyer intent, which is what we do, to be able to actually identify key movements in a business's life cycle. And they can look at that data. You can have that data within minutes or within hours and react really quickly and literally get your sales teams to reach out to those organizations at pace with your products and messages tailored to obviously to help increase your sales and increase your awareness more. So look, in summary, what I will say to you is that look, we're highlighting today the importance of automation and embracing automation, precision marketing, and position yourself for with the right people at the right time with the right message. Previously, the way to do that would have been very manual, picking up all the sheets and starting an email campaign to approach these people, and it could take you weeks to then measure the performance of that. We can speed that up very quickly for you. And the most important thing is prospects who are kind of in that buying cycle or thinking of purchasing your products and services. The benefit of using a single platform, again, I've used multiple platforms in my time. I've used 30 or 40 different platforms to target, and it is very inefficient. But to engage, manage, and report all in one dashboard with a full end-to-end sort of marketing and sales activity is really, it just speeds up and makes your life so much easier from a sales perspective and marketing. And obviously, increasing your brand awareness, your sales pipeline, and your revenue is hugely important. But I suppose one of the most important parts is we can provide you with data, and that's powerful and valuable to any organization, but that data is actually really no good to you unless you know what to do with it. And we can help you to make sure that you actually take that data and action it. And that's where the magic happens. So hopefully that was very, very helpful to you. And I see that there's more questions coming in as well. So happy to engage there.
That's great, Raj. Thank you very much. So again, thanks everyone for joining today. There's a couple of questions that we're going to answer, and then we're just going to give a quick summary of Zymplify and point anyone in the direction of finding out a little bit more about us. So again, thank you very much for everyone who asked the questions today. Specifically around precision marketing, different from account-based marketing. As we talked about, it's really the two are not competing models or ideas. The two are very much supplementary, with the precision element really giving you the behaviors that are required to understand what's driving account purchasing decisions. We had some great questions in from some people specifically around where and what data would organizations be using or capturing to create precise precision marketing models. And there's loads of different types of data points that it's really important to collect. Of course, firmographic data, a good understanding of organization spending power to precisely bring them in or out of campaigns. The buying group within the organization is really important, but the really number one data point that's required is behavioral data, actions that people do that indicate their propensity to buy something. And that data is available through multiple different sources. Raj touched on one of those today, and how it's termed within the space is first, second, and third party intent data. And if we think about that in the ecosystem, first party data is data that you own as an organization and you'd likely have access to right now. That will range from things like actions and unique visits to your website, right through to who's interacting with your email programs, who's clicking your ads, who's in your deal pipeline. And then we can get into second party data. Now that's first party data that's owned by someone else that you can subscribe to. That'll typically take the form of things like review websites. We have a great partnership with G2, which is the industry's leading software buying website that allows vendors to list their services, collect reviews from their customers, and allows buyers to make comparisons. Those are great sources of second party intent data. And then there's third party intent data, and that's basically everything else. So social media drives a lot of information through third party. Social listening tools, intent signals that you can access to the Zymplify platform all give you these third party intent signals that allow you to act on things like, are we seeing a prospect is now following 10 companies in the cybersecurity sector? That is an increase in what their typical behavior looks like, which then indicates to you as a seller, there's an increase in interest in that sector. The same thing applies to any other industry type. And precision marketing really requires all three of these things to work together. And again, just a final question here as well around how you can get prospects to engage with content on first reach out. I'm sure, Debbie, you can speak to this a little bit more, but typically the use of things like landing pages, securing landing pages, helps to get past maybe some of the concerns the prospects would have if you were to attach something that we do here in the sales team at Zymplify is, rather than attaching documents to our follow-up emails, we push people to pages, which are browser-based. That gives us great insight because we know specifically when they are there, how long they spent, did they click around, and it also helps to alleviate some concerns around opening attachments and things like that. But I'm sure Debbie can speak a little bit more to that.
Yeah, totally. And it's sort of, it comes back to what I was saying before about the thinking, feeling, doing it, like at each stage as they like through the funnel. But I will address specifically that feeling comfortable when opening content, and people are increasingly concerned about clicking on links or downloading anything. So I would say that in your first, certainly whenever you're looking at your automated journeys, for example, that in those first automated pieces within the emails, and again within the cadences and things as well, is to not force them to have to go somewhere else to get the information that you're wanting to give them, because then they'll just see that as being a bit kind of like baity, where you're just trying to get more information from them. If you can give them like B2B buyer research, really highlights that the thought leadership stuff and the tips and the making of their lives easier and better, is the best way to build that trust and credibility and start to like to build a relationship with them from early on. And that numbers work really well in both emails and in blogs. So, 3 ways to protect yourself or against a cyber attack, or 5 tips to, like giving them something for free that is valuable to them, helps to reduce their pain, but at the same time builds trust in you, where you're not forcing them to have to, at that early stage in the game, download something, give it to them in the body, prove yourself in the body of the email, and then give them the opportunity, if you want to find out more, download this guide, or you want to find out more, visit this page or whatever it is, but give them enough that they know who you are and that you know what you're talking about, without forcing them to, like click and go somewhere else to have to answer some of those questions. So I would give them enough that it builds a bit of trust in you.
A great point. Thank you very much, Debbie. Of course, there's a little bit of time in the session left to answer any other questions. What we'd love to do now is just provide a little bit of a recap in terms of the Zymplify platform. We've talked today about lots of different components, cadences, journeys, data, and maybe you're walking away from the call today thinking, oh my word, there's so much that we would have to get in to the business, if we wanted to run with a precision marketing model, or at least experiment with it. The cool thing about Zymplify is we integrate all of these things together inside one system. The ability to run all of your fundamental marketing campaigns, from social blogging to email, through to the accessibility and collection of data, whether that's contact information on your ideal customer, or the intent signals that they're showing across first, second, and third-party sources, right through to how they're actually interacting with you as a brand and a business. The ability to automate your journeys and your follow-ups, and even the cadences that your sales team are doing manually right now, underpinned by our integrated CRM that can either act as your main CRM or plug nicely into the systems that you use right now. And really, this is one of the things that we spoke out. I mentioned at the very beginning of the session today about how savvy marketers are rethinking tech and data strategies. One of the big things that's driving that is the wastage that's occurring in software spend within businesses. We ran an event recently, and we polled our attendees and just how many different platforms have you bought or are using currently to support sales and marketing teams. And the average response we got was over 10, and in some cases that was more people than they had in their sales and marketing teams. And it's saying goodbye to that old way of fragmented software that you're piecemealing together to support an outdated model, and instead adopting an integrated system with one tool, one login, one bill, with all of the different things you need to run precision marketing effectively, scalable demand generation, and to really build that sales pipeline. Of course, all of that comes together, inside Zymplify. If you're interested and you're thinking, this might have a good application within our business, would love to learn more, you can visit our website at zymplify.com. We provide, all of our respective customers with, a tailored demonstration of how the software can fit within your needs as a business. We even offer samples of the types of intent signals that we're seeing in your market space to help you evaluate and understand, what are my prospects doing? What data can I utilize with Zymplify to target? We'll be circulating the recording from this event today to everyone who joined, and that that circulation will have a little bit more information about how you can book a demo with our team, or access some more information about us as a business to access this type of platform. And of course, we want to thank everyone for taking the time today. It's been fantastic to have my colleagues Debbie and Raj and Sarah in the background managing the technical side of having these events. And of course, a big thank you to everyone who took the time out to join us today. We're going to be wrapping up in the next couple of minutes, but we'll keep things open if there aren't any final questions. Otherwise, if you would like to reach out to any of us here, you can do so on LinkedIn. Give us a quick search on there, you'll find us, or you can contact us directly, and we'll be more than happy to answer any questions, offer any information or general advice that we can give on your business. But thanks again for everyone for joining today. Delighted to have you here, and hope we get an opportunity to speak with you all again soon.
Cool. Peter, and I hope I'm not being very naughty saying this and offering anything else out, but I'd be very happy, you know, if the members feel it would be of value, you know, if they want to do a workshop or anything around some of the things that they were asking about, what content and when and that sort of thing. So you can keep that in mind. And I maybe should have said that offline, hey? But no, I was just thinking around some of the questions, you know, that the guys were asking, because it could really help you to maximize your use of the platform. I see there's a question here, another one from Barry. Peter, it's on pricing, so that would be around your side. It's the subscription, you know, is there a subscription model for the for Zymplify?
Absolutely, there is, Barry, and for anyone else interested, we'd be more than happy to talk through, you know, what pricing and what subscriptions look like, you know, for your business personally. We'll be in touch with a little bit more information around that. But you know, as you rightly said, for the people who joined the session today who are already customers of Zymplify, you know, feel free to reach out to us. Feel free to ask your customer success manager, your onboarding manager, your account director, whoever it may be, just any questions around any of the areas that we talked about today. And we'll certainly, you know, be hosting more sessions like this for our customers to walk you through, you know, some of the trends that we're seeing and some of the application that you can take from that, you know, into your own work.
Yeah, and from my perspective, I really would like to thank everybody for joining us today, and absolutely more than happy to make ourselves available for a follow-up conversation, LinkedIn, whatever it takes. We're here to help. So thank you very much, everyone.
Excellent. Fantastic. Well, listen, that draws a line and end for the session today. We will be hosting another one of these later in November, I believe, and there'll be plenty of things going on, you know, with our team in between then. So keep your eyes peeled in your emails, you know, jump onto our website and on our social media. We'll be making all the announcements about what's coming next. And for those that are interested in becoming a customer, and those of us that are already, we have some really exciting things that we're really looking forward to introducing into the system today. We believe our customers are going to have great benefit from. So thank you again for everyone for your time, and have a great afternoon.